Welcome back to Criminal Lawyers Perth. My name's Marc Saupin. I'm the criminal law guy. Today I want to talk to you about bail. It's a very important aspect of a criminal proceeding, and it's something you should know about well beforehand. If you're charged, the police have three ways of getting you into court. They can issue you with a notice to appear, they can issue you with a summons, or they can provide what we call watch house or police bail. Generally speaking, in my experience, police will issue a notice to appear or a summons. Once you get to court, however, the prosecution and the magistrate may require a bail undertaking be entered into. Now, a bail, again, is a document, is a means by which the court can bring you back to court to answer your charges. A bail undertaking often has conditions. Now, some of those conditions are a surety. For very serious matters, you may be required to provide a surety. That means that someone is willing to come to court, sign papers to say that in the event that you breach bail, they will forfeit a certain amount of money. Now, I've had surety in the case of $1,000 through to $500,000 through to $900,000. Again, it depends on the seriousness of the offence. There could be a residential condition, which means that you have to live at the house at the address that you provide to the court. That doesn't stop you from going on holidays, for example, and it doesn't stop you from staying overnight at a friend's place. But it means that you reside there, and it's a way for the police to know where you are. Charges that are said to have occurred at night often result in a curfew being imposed. So you have to stay at that residential address between, say, 7 p.m. and 6 a.m. They will take into consideration your work or schooling situation to arrive at the curfew times. There could be protective bail conditions. This is often in the case with domestic violence matters, and most often in the case with victims who are saying in their charge that you have done something to them, allegedly, and the protective condition does not allow you to approach, to contact in any way or form, either directly or indirectly, that particular person. There could be non-contact provisions, conditions with respect to other witnesses, particularly prosecution witnesses. And there could be non-contact conditions with respect to any co-accused that may be charged alongside you. There may be also police reporting requirements, and this is quite usual. You might have to report 3 times a week. I've had cases where they have to report 5 times a week. It's extremely onerous, particularly if you're working or studying, but those are the conditions imposed. And the reporting period is usually through to the entire period until your matter gets determined by a court. Generally speaking, reporting is twice a week. It might be a Monday or a Friday. But again, it is something that you have to abide by if that is the condition. And most often they require you to report to a 24-hour police station such as Joondalup or Cannington. There could also be a condition where you're required to continue counselling or therapy. It's a rare occurrence for that to happen, but I have seen it. There are conditions where you're not to leave the state. You may be required to surrender your passport so that you don't leave the country. They often say you're not allowed to go near an airport, be within 200 metres of Perth Airport. So those sorts of conditions are to ensure you don't skip bail and flee to another jurisdiction. In case of sex allegations to do with children, there'll be conditions imposed that you don't hang around schools, you don't come within 200, 300, 400 metres of a school, you don't go to the children's department in retail stores. And of course, the other conditions apply, such as the protective bail conditions, that you don't go anywhere near the child who has made the allegation. Within the family setting, if you're charged with a sex offence against a child, you may also be required to not have any contact with your family, the children in your family more particularly, unless supervised. Bail conditions are not set in stone. There may be occasion where you want to vary a condition to allow you to do something, such as visit a sick relative in the eastern states. We would vary the condition to allow you to go on that trip for the period in which you need to go. Or there may be a variation to do with reporting. It may be interfering with your work. You're not getting to work on time. In order to make that bail variation, you can either do it at the next appearance in court, or preferably, and as a professional courtesy to the court and the prosecution, you'd want to inform your lawyer of the change required well before your next appearance in court, and the lawyer can then file an early listing or at least put the court on notice that this variation is going to be applied for. The important question is, what happens if you breach bail? Well, you can breach bail by not turning up for court, in which case the court may issue a bench warrant for your arrest, or you can breach a condition of bail, in which case the police will find you, they'll charge you, bring you into court at the earliest opportunity. Now, the seriousness of the breach and the nature of the charge which you're facing will determine what happens. For the most serious of charges and for the most serious of conditions of breach, the surety might have to forfeit his or her money that they promised that they would pay should you breach bail. You could be taken back into custody, or you could simply be released if the breach is minor and the charges are at the lower end of the scale. Be warned though, if you are taken into custody, in other words, your bail has been revoked, it's very difficult to get bail reinstated. You have to demonstrate exceptional circumstances, and that is a difficult ask. So, if you want to know more about bail and the undertakings and the conditions that you have either been provided with or that you're likely to be provided with, please give me a call, 0422 656589, and I thank you for listening.